there's an interesting thing about our cognition and recognition I've thought of and been recognizing. It's about the left and right brain, let's say, what they call left and right brain, which is our two sides of our awareness or our perception, we'll call it. And people switch back and forth between these two brains, or at least, well, I don't know if it's common or uncommon, but I think that it's very active in most people, one way or the other. And one is the, right brain is the creative and the open to stimuli and somewhat non-literal. And the other side, the left brain supposedly, is the literal, practical, down-to-earth, mental side, of our awareness. In any case, it being all of that, being both sides. So I'm not trying to define awareness here by this. It's just having that experiences of seeing people and people we know communicating, and myself communicating. Sometimes I'll see when I've got the myself fully open, and or not, that other part where I'm thinking logically, calculating, I'm doing some kind of organizational thinking or activity or mental. In any case, it's quite a bit. The two sides are really quite a bit different from the real awareness, actually. They're not the real awareness, and they obfuscate our real awareness for the most part. And yet we're all learning about that. So, and every time, of course, the stimuli comes to a person in the form of media, TV, hearing something, or senses, physical activity, and we put everything through what we call the sensor also, and also through our awareness faculties. So now this used to be a subject that Paul Twitchell did write about, the 4 parts of the mind, etc. The part that cognizes and the part that recognizes, which are 2 different things. I mean, the part that just sees the stimuli, the senses, and then the evaluator. And, so it's like a box, in a way. And it's a box that the mind is, it's a trap that the mind it could or readily works with and is within. And we have a hard time going beyond it, which is maybe that's what I'll say. There's where the real awareness is. That next one, that 5th level, the solar, not the soul, not the heart emotions, but that which is aware of itself and of what it's being aware of, as a whole. So that puts that together, and I'm noticing that, and some of that is through these simulator experiences where I'll see all the simulated relationships and recognize connections between everything. And the same thing goes when we're trying to work together doing computer, NUUU communications, and as an example, where we have to work through our faculties that use the mental apparatus and our identifying perception, affiliate, we'll call it, affiliate brain, and or mind. And that's a whole nother thing. When people think about that, you get lost in the realms of thought, but to be able to at least work it some way where you can recognize it in the general way, kind of as I've been describing it, and in a way that makes sense, so that we can recognize what parts of our awareness or our real true recognition, or also our intention that we're utilizing and being part of with the all is, with our connection with the all is, and with what we're recognizing in our own, let's say, the personal and our individual, and also our relationship part, which is not just the, people always think relationships. That's one way that this stuff gets mixed up. We think, oh, relationships. So you're thinking, oh, personal relationships between me and so, and or between me and a group, and or like that. Instead, go to this place that's not of that recognition of the personal or the group associated element. And so then again, we come to this thing where we're just allowing oneself to be open and whole. And then whenever people are describing an experience, or I'm having an experience with the people as or a associated experience with the simulator, and what it supposedly is demonstrating, or because it's never the same as what it really is. And that's kind of one of the main things that we're sharing and having people become aware of. Because, if we're not willing to see that it's a simulation or a developmental operation that could actually come from centuries and millenniums and from all over the place, instead of from the real source or beingness, the isness, all isness. So that's putting that together. I was hoping it might kick my simulator recall, but generally, I'm finding myself trying to work with this because I want to really be creating things that actually are really a representation of the whole, the all isness, and the and what is present. And a lot of times I'll pick things up, and there'll be things to get that I can reference and use in a talk or sharing or what have you, coordinating something with others. And at the same time, it'll be come out of time, which means that there's this, if the memory or the recognition apparatus isn't really fully aware and on the top, keeping up there on the top there in the front line, the information or the sharing won't be available readily, or it'll be hidden. It won't be right. Same thing. And sometimes these things are removed from our awareness because it's not necessary to be applied, and we have to learn, or I'm learning, this differentiation. What's true value, as opposed to anyway. So that's the process that goes on there, and at some point we get to this where we're going, okay, now I don't need to go through any more of that processing of that kind of thing. I really can recognize the difference and the true value point readily, moment to moment, or at a good part of the day will be occupied with really doing something that has productivity and or usefulness. At the same time, it's funny because we're doing something that has nothing to do with like creating a product or a productivity model because it's unnecessary. That's what we're really getting at. And that went on a long way, and to come around full circle, um, to the original concept, which is, or idea that motivated my share, I guess, was this thing about creating a Looney Tunes comics. As an example, the majority of the most successful films are the Marvel and sci-fi and the big comic cartoons. That originally, when I grew up, it was Superman and was the highest end of it, and then there were all these other superheroes and villains and all of that, and then it morphed into a little bit more heavy metal version, which I think Marvel was, and a lot of these other things, and they're all reflections of the true reality of what's really going on, with especially with the alienation and the AI dominion, or what have you, as terms. So really, there's really nothing more to add to it, but I guess Val, you really were using that song, The Rebel. I couldn't quite remember. There's a word in the 60s. There was a song called Revolution by Number 9 by John Lennon. Really, yeah, great song of that kind. And it really was happening at some level there. There was a kind of that, but it got squashed, and they killed all the disciples, so to speak, the apostles, John Lennon and Jimi Hendrix and all. Let's say as an example of 12 apostles that I made up with this Star Rock legend story, which is just a creative way to say that this same crashing metaphor or meteor extinction event kind of thing is occurring, but maybe it's really just occurring in the simulator, and all we have to do is identify the simulator and then allow ourselves. Yeah, okay, I don't need to play with that, and that's one model of demonstration. It's just a story that presents the return of the star rock, that is a meteor crashing to Earth and wiping out all life, or the AI is another form of that, domination of consciousness and turning humans into robots. And it's very apparent to me. And I just remembered what the dream was that I was having about being in, well, I don't have all the, it just flashed at me again. So I'll try and think about it while we're here. Maybe it'll come back. I'm going to write it down. And thanks, Val.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, this is the re-illusion, by the way, not the revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're a real, you're a relob, not a rebel. I don't know. You just come up with things because it's a way of breaking the consciousness from that all the old terms and stuff like that. So that's all. That's cool. God, that was something. Thanks, Val. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Peter, for sharing.
Hey, I remembered my story. I wrote it in the chat. Just short. I wrote it out, short story. I guess I could share it. I'll just read it. I was dreaming. I was at a golf club hotel resort, and I thought I could, kind of, do what I want to. I was in a set of rooms or whatever, and then it turned into, or I recognized it being a controlled dominion, of course. And there were robot animatrons. I remember that kind of, or like dolls that could talk, and they were like the animatrons of Disney. It was like being in a Disney place, really. And then what I call the border police found out I was sneaking around the golf course and the place, in the rooms a little. I would call it sneaking. It was just kind of, not really necessarily following the set order of things. So they came to or found me out. And I remember, straight guy, straight looking man, what we used to call straight people. He put me into the mall, or had someone put me into the mall, which was, it was a futuristic view of the way people are going to be. Very oddly dominated and controlled order in every way, and how to be or where they could be. And the mall was just filled with products and, a very commercial, with the mall being the only place to be. And it's very superficial products, and of course, everything is observed and watched, and it's all just materialism at the full. Just a stinker of a place, I said, with no freedom, and that was what that there was a simulator hello there. So would prefer not to be going to those places, but lately it's been happening. So thanks, y'all.